Welcome to Fwamp Fwamp Sports. My name is Richard Harris, and let's talk sports. Welcome to Fwamp Fwamp Sports. My name is Richard Harris. Watching the Masters tournament this weekend, talking to a few people who I talk sports with on a daily basis here in Hollywood, California. And the discussion got around to Jordan Spieth. Why people don't like Jordan Spieth. And it's taken me 4 days to come up with now, I think, the correct answer. He is a sensational, young, talented golfer. He's a rebel. He was supposed to do what University of Texas wanted him to do, which was to go through the whole program and not turn pro and learn and get better and grow and so on and so forth, like they wanted the other golfers on the team to do, which they did. But he eschewed their request and did it his own way and became the number one player in the world up until a week ago, which will change after he wins today probably. The problem that people have with Jordan Spieth is the same problem that people have with two other athletes that represent the state of Texas. One, Johnny Manziel. Two, Robert Griffith III. What these three men have in common is a brashness, a confidence, a non-humble way about them that insults so many. Now you say, wait a second, what are you talking about? And I'm going to explain. What people didn't like about Robert Griffin III is he had an answer for every question. It is okay to say that you don't know. It is okay to say that you're still learning and growing and this, that, and the other thing. It is okay to show a side of vulnerability, a side that shows that you are not perfect. Robert Griffin III's rookie year in the NFL, he was off the charts. He rallied the Redskins to many wins. He 80-yard touchdown run to beat the Vikings. He was clutch. He made the plays that made him a rookie of the year. Led his team to playoffs. And in fact, they were giving Seattle all they could handle in the game in which he got injured. And of course, Seattle went on that year to the bowl. But every time you asked Robert a question in the media, he had an answer for it. As opposed to saying he don't know, as opposed to saying an answer that sort of made him look human. Fast forward that to Johnny Manziel. When Johnny Manziel beat Alabama and won the Heisman Trophy, Johnny Manziel had an answer for any and everything. Anytime you asked Johnny Manziel a question, he had an answer for it. Johnny Manziel walked around town, walked around the state of Texas like he was Teflon. Showing up parties at the University of Texas, and he's a Texas A&M guy. Showing up at NBA games and saying his best buddies are Drake and LeBron and all these people. And then, of course, when we became a Brown, it didn't change. He still walked around with this persona, this attitude that he had an answer for everything. And it rubbed people the wrong way. But now he's out of football until somebody gives him a second chance, which is going to happen. And you hope that he will have grown and just learned to be more talking about we than I. But that doesn't appear to happen in his social calendar because he's still hanging out with Gronk and still hanging out with high profile athletes and giving off the impression that he is bigger than football. And now, Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth has 2 major championships. He's 21 years old. And what drives people crazy, what drove me crazy about Kobe Bryant when Kobe first came up, what drives me crazy about Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. It's okay that these guys in sports talk about one's age and youth and so on and so forth. But don't use that as a boost, and then don't use that as a crutch. Ian Baker Finch today just keeps gushing that he's 22 years old. Last year, he's 21 years old. Big whoop. They're professional athletes. They have skills at a level higher than I have, than you have, than anybody else has. They could do something better than a college-age person. They do things better than a minor league person. They do better than the Canadian Football League person. They do things better than the average Joe. And I'll never forget Kobe Bryant's rookie year in the NBA, or second year in the NBA. And Kobe's, I guess they're playing Utah. I think it might have been his rookie year. I used to work at this restaurant out on Venice Beach. And they used to talk about how he's better than Jordan, and how he's better than Jordan, how he's better than Jordan, how he's better than Michael, how he's better than this, better than Magic, better than everybody. And then as soon as Kobe Bryant missed 2 shots against Utah with air balls, everyone said, oh, he's 19. Oh, he's 19. He's just 19. He's 19. And they do the same thing with Jordan Spieth. Jordan wins the Masters, Jordan wins the U.S. Open, Jordan wins the Hawaiian Open, or whatever it was called this beginning of the year, the Sony Open. He's great. He's 22 years old, and he's just super scintillating spectacular. Jordan finishes 20 at this tournament, doesn't make a cut at that tournament, finishes, 15th at this tournament. Well, he's 22 years old, and he's young, and he's, learning this, that, and the other thing. But when he just went on a 4-hole birdie binge at the Masters. Can you believe that he's 22 years old? Oh, my goodness gracious. It's amazing. And it just drives me nuts. Don't compare him to Jack. Don't compare him to Tiger. Don't compare him to Phil. Don't compare him to Rory. Let him just be Jordan. Let him go up and down like a 22-year-old should be doing. And then what Jordan has to learn, his answers are beyond his years. He answers the question. That's not a positive thing. That's the kind of thing that rubs people the wrong way and turns people against you. Because you hear Mike Trout answer questions. Mike Trout sounds like a 22, 23, 24-year-old guy. He doesn't have the answers to everything. And he's been runner-up MVP twice in his career and an MVP in the first 4 years of his career, which is unprecedented in baseball. Bryce Harper is a different egg. Bryce Harper has acted like his crap don't stink since he was 16 years old, when he did not even want to go to college, where he was trying to play professional baseball as a 16-year-old because he was just better than everybody. And he didn't do anything in the major leagues until the playoffs a few years ago, which led to him having an MVP season last year, and this year he's off to a great start. He needed that moment to be a stud, and it happened. Having a huge playoff series woke him up, and he hasn't looked back since. And it's actually kind of funny. He wasn't the most valuable player last year in the National League. The most valuable player in the National League was Yoenis Cespedes, because when he arrived to the Mets, he was the reason the Mets made it to the World Series. He was the catalyst in that offense that woke them up, and that team went forward from that point forward. But he was only there for half a season. Harper's team collapsed. How do you give an MVP award to a guy whose team had a huge lead and lost the division by 9 games? That's just the curse of the Mets. The Mets in 1986 had 108 wins, but nobody was in the MVP. The MVP that year went to Mike Schmidt, whose team lost the division by 18 games because he hit 48 home runs. I digress. Sorry. But what turns people off about Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper thinks he's Pete Rose. He plays hard like Pete Rose, so people can't get mad at him because he plays hard. He lets his play do his talking for him. And that's the difference between him and Spieth and RG3 and Manziel. They talk too much. They don't need to say anything sometimes. And then when they try to retract or when they try to talk like a human being, it's too late. That's why there's so many people anti-Robert Griffin III. So many people anti-Johnny Manziel. Because there are people out there who think these guys think they're bigger than the sport. And they're far from it. Even though we know in reality they don't think they're bigger in the sport. They just know in their minds and their hearts how to answer a question. They're not intimidated to answer the question whether properly or improperly. And now Johnny is out of the league. Now Robert Griffin III is trying to find himself someplace. And Jordan Spieth, well, he had a 5-shot lead a moment ago in the Masters. Now he's only up by 1 shot. And it'll be interesting to see how he plays these next 6 holes to get a back-to-back jacket. And I will say this, though. It's not 100% their fault. It is people like Ian Baker Finch. It is people like Ron Jaworski or people like, I don't know, pundits who do, Skip Bayless. People who sit there and praise these young guys for being so special at a young age and then give those people the impetus, the confidence to talk the way they talk because they don't act their age. Oh, he's wise beyond his years. Sometimes that's not good in sports. I find it fascinating because when Tiger Woods first came out in golf, he would say things like second sucks and, the only reason why you play tournaments is to win them. And a lot of the veteran players got upset because they're like, second doesn't suck. It'll help you in the points. It'll help you here. It helps you there. It helps you, you don't always have to win to say you had a successful week. And obviously, Tiger changed that vernacular because, no, the purpose to play tournaments is to win them, not to make a good showing. Now, I bet you he wishes he thought differently today because in his mind, everyone believes that if he came back to play golf, let's say in 2 weeks or a month from now, 2 months from now, and had a good showing, maybe it would boost his confidence, maybe it would boost his game so that he would win again. And that's my entire point of this whole little rant. And that is, be careful what you say. Be careful how you say what you say. Be careful why you say what you say. Because this is an era of sports where everything comes back to bite you. Where people sit there and track your trash to see if you're doing this, or people hang on your words so that they can throw them back in your face. And the backlash isn't pretty. The backlash, is not pretty at all. Look what's happened to Robert Griffin, and look what's happening to Johnny Manziel. Robert Griffin now is on Cleveland Browns. If Robert Griffin has a bad season for the Cleveland Browns, his football career is over. He's not even 26 years old. Johnny Manziel's football career, if he's given a second chance by a veteran team to tame him, to do whatever, if that doesn't work out, his career is over. It's a Texas thing. They say don't mess with Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas. Well, their big mouths is creating and has created such a backlash against them that sometimes it just pays to be quiet. Don't talk like you know everything. Because 90% of the time, you really don't. But that's just one man's opinion.